TV Plus brings you news headlines of top stories, interview an expert, and give you detailed market analysis. You can become a smart investor if you don't miss it. The Inside Blockchain Show, only on Crypto TV Plus.
Hello and welcome to the program. You're watching Inside Blockchain live on Crypto TV. Over the next hour, we'll be taking an in-depth look at the Central Bank of Nigeria's eNaira with a specific look at the speed wallet. But before we dive into that, we'll have the pleasure of inviting industry professionals to help us have a better understanding. Here with us on the show is Mr. Chuta Chimezie, founder of Blockchain Nigeria User Group and advisor at Kinesis Money, West African region. And joining us virtually is Adedeji Owonibi, techpreneur, blockchain solutions advocate, and COO at Convexity. And also joining us is Charles Okaformbah, a blockchain solutions architect and the CTO also at Convexity. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program. I'm about to bring in Mr. Adedeji Owonibi, a techpreneur and COO at Convexity. You're welcome to the program, sir. Alongside Charles, about the CBDC for months and has just revealed its digital wallet, speedwallet. What do you have to say about the whole eNaira project?
What we know about the e-wallet, right, is it's a stopgap, right, for the CBN to be able to meet their goal of October 1st, launching the eNaira by October. And just like how the blockchain space work, right, you need to have a wallet in order for you to be able to interact with the blockchain itself, that is sending your token to one person or sending it to a merchant and all that. So for those of us that are already conversant with how into
without banking accounts.
To that, of course, I think what Charles has enumerated on the speed wallet thing is just a basic infrastructure and a basic wallet that everyone playing within the crypto space understands. And I think they decided to actually go with that because, of course, they argued it has some embedded securities that will take some time to actually come in tandem with it. It has also some bills like terror finances, mitigation, anti-money laundering capabilities. And so they decided, okay, if the company are already been vetted in these processes, let's pick that, based on the CBN argument, even though there are a lot of conjectures around why they have to go. For the CBN are in properly how it works. So I think is going to a sprint, and so it's just a start. Every one of us will be dicey for a start now until we get all the regulatory arms and all those frameworks drafted properly to key into synergize. Of course, as time goes on, we all know that the crypto companies are getting positioned.
All right, Charles, are you still there? Now, the next question goes to you. Is the Central Bank of Nigeria becoming a retail financial service provider with the operation of the speed wallet?
I don't think that is the goal of the CBN, right? Though we don't know what the CBN has in mind. Maybe in the future, the speed wallet will be killed, right? Or they stop using the speed wallet and then allow the bank's wallet to be used. But with what we saw in the document shared by the CBN, part of what the eNaira will be doing is using it as a distribution tool, or sending out fees or money to citizens as a way of maybe poverty alleviation or trying to support businesses and all that. And I know that the CBN will want to have an easy way of checking how this money is being spent and how this money is being used. And one way of doing that is allowing people to have direct communication with the central bank, and then the central bank's wallet and their expenses and all that. So we don't know, right? But we'll keep on watching. We'll keep in how things evolve. If the CBN's wallet will be in competition with the bank's wallet. And I know that bank's wallet will have other services that will actually entice users to want to stick with a bank's wallet instead of directly with the CBN's speed wallet.
All right, over to you, Deji. The CBN has said that the speed wallet will only serve as a means to meet its October 1st timeline. Do you think the operation of the wallet will compete with other financial players?
Of course, like Charles did just mention now, as the central bank is taking up the role and responsibility of the commercial bank for now. Because if I have a wallet, my the direct person I'm dealing with is the central bank. So until the commercial bank begin to have their wallets, which they said they will eventually yield the space for the commercial banks to actually have their wallets to serve their customers directly later when the whole thing is ready. So I think that is what is going to happen. We're directly customers to the central bank. We are directly, they are playing in the retail space, and therefore I see them competing. The only reason, I think maybe the only mitigation that I see Yes, I can see.
For the eNaira may not be able to handle per second that's already happening in the current financial infrastructure. Now, these same quarters believe a problem is imminent, and it will be a glow shame if on the day that the project is meant to launch mainnet. So what do you think? Can you give us your insight on this?
Okay, based on research, right? I remember the last meeting that where the stakeholders in the blockchain space were actually invited by the CBN, and then the presentation of the eNaira was done. The CBN is planning on using Hyperledger fabrics, according to what we had, and based on research on which is actually online, we know that when it comes to transaction throughput, latency, and then execution, the Hyperledger Fabrics is a little bit not too optimal for such usage. And with the announcement made by the CBN, why they picked the company or the tech company that is actually going to serve as a technical partner for the eNaira. I think one of the reason why they were able to even pick them was due to their past experience of deploying such a solution. And if we trace the countries that this company has actually deployed such solution, they are more of like for countries that are not even up to 1 million in population size. And if you check that too, you find out that their transaction is not even up to what a country like Nigeria with over 200 million uh, people will be doing in a day. So we are like with the infrastructure that will be used to deploy the eNaira, except they actually employ they integrate another consensus mechanism, or they find a way around such a hiccup or an imminent danger, if I'll put it that way, because that could actually mar the launch of such a speed wallet. Even if it is launched, maybe going forward as transaction keeps on increasing, we might run into some issues with that. So we just keep on watching and see how things unfold.
So, Mr. Chuta, the CBN unveiled its technical partner for the project, Bitt. Now, this is obviously a foreign firm. Understanding that Nigeria is home to some of the largest based financial giants in the crypto space, in the fintech space, and does it mean that we don't have the technical ability to and competence to execute this great project of national significance?
Okay, thank you once again, Bobby. Again, you have to understand that we're dealing with a very large organization called the CBN. So I believe strongly that they have criteria that they use in assessing all the bidders for the technical partnership job opportunity with them. But one of the things that we got as a critical indices that helped them to decide was the fact that Bitt had been able to deploy CBDC in about 3 countries or thereabouts within the Barbados area. And as far as they're concerned, they believe that that experience counts because the second runner-up company, which is Interstellar, which has a lot of Nigerians as their technical skill needs, uh, have not deployed any CBDC anywhere until now. So I believe that maybe they wanted to go with people who have some kind of hands-on experience in it, not just technical know-how. Definitely, we have competent people here, and you need to understand what type of solution that Bitt is giving to them. Bitt is selling a technology stack of Hyperledger to them, not necessarily Hyperledger that you will see out there just on the shelf. So they are taking the technology the tech stack of Hyperledger, and they are likely to tweak it to be able to achieve what central bank is looking at achieving, because Hyperledger is designed in a modular way. But the problem with modular systems generally, whether it's blockchain or web application development or any other application, is that it limits you from innovating outside of the pre conceived ideas that was used in creating that framework. So you can see a modular platform like that, like a framework. So if you want to plug something in that is outside transactional type of tech, then you can enable that module. But if you want to go out and maybe do something else that is a little bit out of place, then that becomes a limitation. Okay, so we see those things when we design web applications, and we sometimes prefer to build applications with open technologies. Because when you have open technology, it means that people can come in with innovation through those open technologies to be able to implement it. But the problem with such technology is that much more competent skill sets are required to be able to do that. And as you know, CBN is not a tech company. So I doubt if they house technical people who could be able to do such things in-house. So I believe in their own wisdom, they believe that it would be safer for them to have a technical partner that could utilize a much more easier tech stack for them to be able to do what they want to do. But of course, none of these things are cast in stone, because if they try it out and they run into problem, I mean, nothing stops them from coming back, because we learn every day. So they shouldn't say because we have taken this step, then we don't care what goes on, whether it works or not, we won't stick to no. I'm sure that there will be opportunity to look at their choices, because I also know that they have some other technologies that they're also using on a test net that is not Hyperledger. So probably they just want to see how the two of them will work.
Okay, so in view of what you said, now we understand that this foreign firm, Bitt, cannot carry out the volume of transactions that financial institutions handle in Nigeria at the moment, because some of these Eastern European small island nations are relatively small in their demography. So, what's to say that? Uh, um, what's to say that this firm can actually handle the volume of transactions that banks and financial institutions are already handling? Because I feel there has to be a balance.
Yeah, but you know that the CBDC rollout is not going to be full blown. So
Okay.
there is a strategy to roll out in different
Phases.
grades and phases. Okay, so in this first grade, I mean, they're not going to allow anybody anywhere to just start using. Typically, when you're bringing in a new tech like this, you will do so in a controlled environment first. Then you begin to onboard users gradually. And as your new users are coming in, you're testing the latency of your network. And if the network begins to show any sign of weakness, then you could actually replan. And before you start having any shutdowns, or before you start having any crashes, you should have seen some of your log reports telling you of what is going on and what could happen if the situation continues to go in that direction. So I believe strongly that they will be able to iterate their plans, review it over time. So before we begin to roll out a CBDC that 50 million Nigerians will use, definitely there will be a lot of feedback from maybe 500,000 people, 1 million people, before they begin to scale. No person, I mean, there's no tech organization or institution that will roll out any project like that and without facing them and gradually increase the transaction and volume that they want to take in.
Okay. So now, Deji, the next question goes to you. Now, I believe you're someone who is experienced, a professional in security. So the question is, seeing that the CBN has outsourced a foreign firm to handle the rollout of the Project Giant, the eNaira. Now, I think this begs the question, the issue of security. People want to know, how secure will this be, seeing that it's a foreign firm? So can you help us make sense of that?
Okay, I think the foreign firm is just the technology partner, like Mr. Chimezie Chuta just mentioned. The central bank have explained severally. I'm not speaking for them, but I've listened to them to trying to clarify that the embedded security that they use on the current national rails where the transactions are happening, the same is going to be happening in that space. I think we'll probably be looking at, including compliance, like I did mention earlier, the compliance suite of what the banks actually go through is still going to be the same. The banking infrastructure that they use the security is going to still follow that route with additional layers of those experience, like he did mention that Bitt have. I think the only part that I would be a bit concerned about is really currently we know in our financial system, if there's anything that eventually go wrong, the police is trained to actually do that. The financial intelligence unit is there to understand what is happening. The EFCC, for instance, have decks in different banks where they check if anything has actually gone wrong and how to tame it immediately it happens. When this have to do with a blockchain touching infrastructure, wallet address, and all those issues, I don't know if we've got our teeth to actually develop those compliance officers to look into those new kind of money. So I think those are the places I think we have a bit of those challenges like we are having today. Someone just left here, and what we're discussing is a colossal loss of around $200,000 that was lost, and the police and no sector could actually assist, even when he has gone extra mile to actually galvanize the flow of that currency. They do not understand. And those are the people that will completely be looking at infractions, fraud, scams that happens to the speed wallet and all that. So I think it's going to be an enormous responsibility and a greater challenge, but surmountable with the kind of things Mr. Chuta is doing with the enlightenment through conferences and the one we're doing on our individual level to make sure that, okay, this is a new terrain and we have to build new skills.
So to wrap it up, now, this question goes to the three of you, Mr. Chuta, Charles, and Deji. One of the reasons for the prohibition of crypto by the Central Bank of Nigeria was the fall in remittances. But it's shocking that the central bank wallet, the speed wallet, doesn't allow a non-Nigerian to use it. Thus, how will it influence the inflow of remittances into the country? Or are we missing something?
Okay, I think, okay.
Okay, Deji, go ahead.
Okay, sir. I read somewhere within the documentation and the explanation on how that will facilitate, because of course that's one of the greater things they looked at. It will facilitate remittance and also boost the challenges they are having with the shortfall in their international remittance to Nigeria out. And so what they're saying is this, as part of justification why Bitt was actually chosen, is that because they are having coverages, more coverages, first time on their legs on the ground to actually do this. And they also have their stack having the easy interoperability and connections with other CBDCs that will roll up eventually later. So they're looking to, as you roll up CBDC in Ghana, for instance, it is easy to plug in based on the explanation they give. So I think that is what they're expecting. The remittance thing is not going to be now. I think is something that they believe that the solution will be able to engender as they go on because of the flexibility they argued this solution has.
Charles, the same question.
Yeah. So, well, based on the document also, well, I don't think remittance will improve anytime soon, according to just like Deji said. But we've seen inside the document that the international money remittance company will still be used, right? They will still need to plug into the eNaira system, but they will need to either use the banks, that is, go through the banks to do that, or they use they have a reserve somewhere, and then they get the eNaira. So the way I see it, the central bank is trying to still maintain what we currently have in terms of the banking infrastructure, and then plugging in the eNaira into it. Then also we've heard of plans by plans to have more of like a central exchange, right? By BIS, right? To like have a central exchange between all the whole countries, CBN that are creating central banks, I mean, that are creating digital currency. So let's see how things unfold, and then we'll hope that people will want to make use of these digital currencies for their transactions, and then for remittances too, because it also depends on trust, the people trusting such a system in order for remittances to improve and all that.
Over to you, Mr. Chuta. The same question.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to place things in the right perspective. The circular that prohibited banks and other financial institutions from rendering crypto services or rendering financial services to crypto companies didn't say that it was, the explanation didn't say that it was because of shortfall in remittance. They mentioned things like money laundering, terrorism financing, fraud, and all that, but they didn't mention anything about shortfall in remittance. But we are insinuating that it's possible that it's also part of the problem that they have. So they are hoping that the eNaira project will bridge that gap, because in their thinking, it's possible that a lot of the remittances are passing through crypto-based companies, because that data is there. It's not something that is shrouded in secrecy. They can always tell from the volume that was coming into crypto-based companies and the exchanges. They knew that the huge volumes were coming in, and I mean, it dropped as much as the year before last year's remittance dropped from about 29 billion to about 17 billion. So it was almost like a drop by half. So the intention is to see if eNaira can enable them to bring more of the remittances into their basket, as it were. And there's nothing wrong with having such an expectation, but the consumer is always the king, because he's the one that makes choices on the best possible way for him to do what he wants to do. So, whereas the fact that private citizens are able to create their own monetary system and their own cryptos, as it is when you have Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, all other kinds of crypto assets, it's a challenge to central banks. So I always say that central banks' reply to that challenge is CBDC. So we are all sitting with our popcorn, ready to watch how the battle unfolds. Who is going to win? Is it private currencies that are issued by individuals that win, or is it central bank issued digital currencies that win? I think it's going to be interesting. Okay,
I believe so too.
I think all of us should just sit down and watch this great movie as it unfolds.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chuta. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Deji. I must say it's been an absolute pleasure having you gentlemen on the show. And that will be all on today's edition of Inside Blockchain. You can get more market updates and all the happenings captured within the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency on our website, cryptotvplus.com. Follow us on our social media, Facebook and Twitter @CryptoTVPlus to get daily info on our programs. Thank you for staying with us. I am Bobby Adedeji. Till next time.